Hello, friends. Before we get started in this episode, I have a big announcement for you. One, on top of happy early Hanukkah and happy early Advent Sunday for all of those that celebrate for the holidays. But speaking of the holidays, we have our last and final audio series of 2023 coming up. I can't believe I was almost thinking 2024. So hopefully that means it's going to be easier for me to transition this year than last year. But anyways, we have the unique holiday experiences audio series coming to you December 20th. Pre-registration is now open. You can head on over to travelbiztraining.com or the link in the show description. Stellar lineup. We have Margie Jordan from Jordan Executive Travel. We also have Tom Carpenter, who you might know him from legal, but he is also a travel advisor. And we're not talking any legal in that episode. We also have Danella Richard, former cruise line executive turned nationally syndicated travel TV host. And then we also have Jonathan McKee from Hurtigruten Cruises. Then we have Cheryl Rosen, who is a travel industry writer. You may know her from her Facebook group or any of the articles that she's written. And last but definitely not least, we have Renata West of I was going to say, or for short, Ren, but he is from Pacific Storytelling. And so if you are ready to just be filled with a little bit of holiday cheer, a little bit of also inspiration, travel inspiration, and learning about destinations that you may not have thought about, especially for the holidays, you'll definitely want to tune in to this series, which is just going to be so light and airy and so insightful, not only for you, but also show off the travel pro that you are to your clients. So make sure that you are registered today. Now let's head on to the show. Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. So nice to have you here today. It is December 1st, everyone. I am still in shock and awe saying that. I can't believe that we're at December. Why is it always that my favorite quarter of the year always seems to go by the quickest? And I think part of it is because there's just so much going on at this time of year. So I'm like, okay, how do I rearrange my calendar? I did a good job this year based on the terrible job I did last year, but still there are some improvements that can be made. But aside from that, I did want to kind of break down some numbers on making sales for you. And we kind of did this exercise a little bit in the Plan Your Year session. So obviously, I can't show you everything because this is a podcast, but I did want to work through helping you plan your sales for 2024. I don't think it's a topic that is widely discussed, and we're going to use actual numbers based on a sales planner that I have. If you're I need to get my hands on the sales planner, just let me know, and you can purchase the recordings of the Plan Your Year session to get access to the Google Sheets. If you're I'm a paper person, I did create a workbook that you can purchase off of Amazon called the Plan Your Year Workbook, where it will walk you through the process of creating your goals for 2024, planning your sales and having space to write those down and play around with numbers, and then planning your marketing for 2024. So that workbook is $19.99 on Amazon, and I'll go ahead and link below so you can check that out if you want to grab that. But I kind of want to go through the motions of how do you make money in your travel business? And so we're not going to really talk goals. We're thinking that you've already planned your goals. And before you can plan out your marketing, you need to know what you're going to sell. And I don't want to hear you saying, well, I'm going to sell travel. Duh. That is too generic of an answer. you should know from based on what's happened this year, or if you're brand new to the business, kind of like the direction that you want to start your business in. What do you want to be selling? Are you going to be charging a fee? What kind of fee is that? Are you going to just charge a fee per trip? Is this a fee per person? Is this a fee per nights? Are you going to like institute somewhat of like a VIP membership where if people pay $1,000 for the year, they can book up to 3 trips throughout the year and they get unlimited service, or however it might be? So that's kind of like where the starting point is. And that's kind of like if you have the sales planner or the workbook, that's kind of where we start, is we need to unpack. So I'm sorry, this might seem like whoa, she is like diving in. Yes. Yes, I am. We are like just going head straight for it. So fees are something that you want to be considering. And then, are there different supplier partners that you want to be working with next year? Do you want to do more FITs, or do you want to do more cruises? Do you want to do more expedition cruises? Do you want to do more luxury cruises? Do you want to do more exotic destinations? And figuring out, how much does an exotic destination cost? Like, what are the costs associated with that? What does that mean in terms of how much commission you're going to make, how much fees you're going to charge? And so that's what I'm talking about when we're thinking about going into the new year and planning out your sales. You need to know all this information, because when you are thinking about marketing and sending out emails and doing blog posts and putting social media out there, and also like going to networking events and all that, you can't just go in there saying, I'm a travel advisor and I sell travel. That is too generic. People aren't like, their ears, I think, will naturally perk up because we're in travel. But if you really want to go the extra mile and perk the right ears, you need to be specific. And you may have noticed this too with like any support businesses, that if they are too generic, you can't identify what they do or how they can help you. So you're kind of like, I'm going to pass and try and go to another support partner. The same thing happens with your travel business, because people want to like automatically know if they're for you or not, and if you're the right person. And the only way they can do that is if you're marketing certain things. Is this trips to Croatia? Is this trips to Antarctica? Is this all ocean cruises? Is this small ship cruising? Is this river cruising? Is this all-inclusive to Mexico and the Caribbean? Is this you just do adventure travel? You just do theme park travel? There's so many different options that are out there. So you have to like narrow down what it is that you want to focus on for 2024. So then you can start collecting some data. And when I mean collecting some data, how much does a trip on an expedition cruise to Antarctica cost? Okay, so once you know how much it costs, how much commission are you going to be making from that? Okay, you're going to be making $2,000. I'm just throwing numbers out here, so forgive me there. Okay, so if you are solely focusing on Antarctica trips and they will give you $2,000 in commission after your commission split, how many do you need to sell next year? So let's say you just want to make $35,000 next year. So if you divide that up by 2,000, you need to sell 18 Antarctica cruises or whatever it might be to get to your sales goal. Actually, I'm sure that you make a lot more commission than $2,000. But if your average commission is $2,000, and we're not even taking into account your fees. So let me right now, I'm going to go into my sales planner, because we are going to start playing around and start doing some math in here. And again, if you'd like access to this, you're going to need to purchase the recordings to the Plan Your Year session so that you can get access to the sales planner that's going to do all the math for you. So we have to figure out, we're gonna stick with $40,000. I feel like $40,000 as an average commission goal or an average income goal is going to be pretty standard right now. And then you're just going to update the totals based on what it is, like if it needs to go up, if it needs to go down. I think like going through this example, even if you just have the workbook, it's going to be super helpful for you in being able to identify, oh, I could make some more money if I do this, or I could make some more money if I do that, or I could work less time if I do this, because I can put all my energy into this one thing instead of doing these millions of things that are happening. So, again, we're thinking about, so we're going to take the goal of $40K a year. Let's say that we're planning, we'll be a Disneyland travel agency. And so we charge people $250 to plan Disneyland trips or Walt Disney World trips. The average trip that we plan for Disney cost about $10,000. And the average commission that I make on a Disney trip is going to be about 10%. So I'm going to erase some of the numbers that I have in this calculator so I can get more accuracy. Alrighty, so if you have a $10,000 Disney trip and you're making 10% average commission on Disney trip packages, and we are doing 24 trips a year, that means that you will be making $30,000 for the year. So we're about $10,000 short. And I'm taking into consideration that these 24 trips have an average spend of $10,000 and have an average commission split of 10%. And you're also making a professional fee to plan these Disney trips at $250 per trip. So let's bump that up to 30 trips. What does 30 trips get me? It gets me to 36,000. So we're still a little bit short here. Let me see. Okay. So that is not the magic number because we didn't take into consideration other factors here. Hold on. I'm doing some maths. Okay. Alrighty, so our magic number and this can be Disney trips, this can be other trips if you want to input that in there. If you want to be making $40,000 in 2024, you need to sell 32 trips that are $10,000 in revenue each. That means, and if you're making an average of 10% commission and you are generating a professional fee of $250, that means your income will be $40,000 next year. So think about that, and you'll want to kind of like input. You can start inputting if you have access to the lead generation calculator, which is free. You can start thinking about, okay, 32, I need to have 32 people booking travel with me next year. Where the lead generation calculator comes in is not everybody is going to convert. So you need to take into consideration, what is your conversion rate? How many people do you convert from having a discovery call with them? How many become actual paying clients? So I think 60% is a really good conversion rate to go to. So we're going to divide 32 trips by 60%. And so you need to be talking to approximately 54 people next year so that you can sell these 32 trips. I hope I'm not losing you out on here and like doing all this math. I want you to think a little bit bigger than maybe you have been taught to in the past. Like, I wish that this kind of sales planning was available to me when I first started my business, because it really gets you to think of the bigger picture and it starts helping you reverse engineer your business. So if you know that you need to have 54 people, you need to have interactions with 54 essentially warm leads, because 32 of those will convert into hot leads because they've decided to go ahead and purchase from you. What do you need to do to get in front of those people? And if these are all Disneyland trips, Disney World trips, then that's what you should be promoting in all of your marketing efforts as well. Anything above that $40,000 in commission is going to be good gravy. But you can take this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Disneyland commission. It doesn't have to be a Disney trip. This can be, and that's why I kind of put the average commission split at 10% as opposed to like 10 or 12%. So let's say you're booking like more all-inclusive Mexican Caribbean. We're going to keep all the parameters the same. So your professional fee is $250. The average spend for these all-inclusive trips is $10,000. I'm going to bump up the commission split to an average of 12% because you have to figure in, and this is, of course, like from the supplier, I'm also figuring in that you may get like more like 16% in commission splits if you're hosted, but you have to take into consideration your commission split. So just because like you're getting 16% doesn't mean like 16% is what's going in your pocket, because some of that is being paid out to your host as well. So at 12% commission split, now you've made $46,400. So you can see that bumping up your commission split just 2% increases by at least $6,000, which is huge, can be huge. Because if we're saying, so let me do some more math. $40,000 divided by 12 is approximately $3,400 a month. So if you bump your commission by 2%, you essentially have made an extra 2 months of salary just with increasing your commission splits. And that's part of what I want you to understand bigger picture, is that there's a lot of different levers that you can tweak in your travel business to make additional revenue. It doesn't necessarily need to be by selling more. It can be selling higher ticket. It can be selling suppliers that pay you more money than other suppliers. So we have to think about this holistically and intentionally, what you're going to be selling for 2024. So then you can do the things that you need to do to get people to buy, which is those marketing efforts, those visibility efforts. So remember, on the 10% commission split, we needed to sell 32 trips. So if, like, I'm going to do some math, I'm going to play around with this new one. And if you were able to increase your commission to 12% instead of 10%, you get to sell 4 less trips and still make $600 more money. So at 28 trips a year, you make $40,600 at the 12% commission split. We haven't changed that professional fee, and we haven't changed that average consumer spend on how much they spend on a trip. So, and this is like why I like playing around with the planner, because you can start manipulating all sorts of things. And maybe you were like, I just want to do Disney trips and Disney trips make me happy. But if you can do a little bit less work and just sell a different product, or maybe a higher end product. Because again, you can tweak like how many trips you want to sell, what's your average revenue spend, what's your average commission split. Okay, let's break it down. So if we're doing 28 divided by 12, so that means you have to be booking approximately. There's a lot of like percentage and decimal points. So you have to be booking approximately 3 of these trips every single month to get to your revenue goal. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to promote to do that to make it to your revenue goal? Now, maybe you're like, I want to take a dabble into doing some river cruises. So if I do FIT river cruise, so this is just, a couple, and I'm going to say they probably want to do like some sort of balcony. And I will bump up that commission to probably 14%. Because river cruising does pay a higher rate than some other products. So, and we're going to say that the average is 6,000, right? Let's just do 6,000 per cabin. So per couple, or 6,000 per person, which means $12,000 per cabin at a 14% commission. If you're selling 28 of those, you have made $54,000. And that's also taken into consideration your professional fee of $250. So let me bump it down because we made a little too much money. And I mean, it's not bad that you've made a little too much money, but I also want to show you, you don't need to sell 28. Let me see if I bump it down. Okay. So 28 got you way past your goal. If you want to get a lot more in line with your goal, so our professional fee has stayed the same. It's still $250 per trip. We're selling an average river cruise. We're going to say it's $12,000. We're being a little conservative there. $6,000 per person. At 14% commission, you only need to sell 21 river cruises to make your $40,000 in revenue or in income for yourself. That's $40,000 and $530. No. Oh my goodness. $40,000, $40,530. I cannot, I did too much math. I guess I broke myself. Now, where the difference can come in here, so that's 21 individual trips. So 21 individual trips divided by 12. So that means you need to sell 2 river cruises every single month to make your $40,000 goal. And I'm being a little conservative with 40,000 because I know everybody's circumstances are a little bit different. So if you would like me to do a different income goal, let me know, and maybe I'll do another one of these follow-ups. Now, let's say that we're going to keep commission the same, 14%. We're going to keep our professional fee at $250 the same, but we want to just plan one river cruise group for the year. And so, like I mentioned, there's $12,000 per cabin. A really great river cruise group is going to be about 20 cabins. So let's do some math. If each cabin costs $12,000 times 20, that's $240,000. So if you focused on one river cruise group of 20 cabins with your $250 professional fee, you have made $38,000. So just a little shy of your $40,000 goal. So let me add one more cabin. So that's $252,000. And so if you've got 21 cabins in this river cruise group. So if you solely focused on selling one really great river cruise cabin, group, you have made your $40,000 goal along with your professional fee. Now, maybe you're kind of like, cruises, I don't charge a fee for, so let's go ahead, take that professional fee out. We've just knocked $5,000 of revenue to our bucket. So you're going to have to sell a little bit more in river cruises to make that. So I'm like, I wouldn't really take away the professional fee because that really does help out. If you are, well, actually, that's 21 people. So if you've got 21 cabins, that's $250 a cabin, you're making $5,000 a year, $5,250 on professional fees for the year. I think this makes it a little bit easier thinking about this, that you have, again, all those levers to pull. So you can change your revenue amount. You can also change how many people go with you. You can change what your average commission split is. So if you've been used to selling $1,000, because let's do this little experiment. So you are selling the mass market cruises at $1,000. We're going to say you probably make 12% commission on that because some of those mass markets are pretty good commission wise. And you don't charge a professional fee. I think it's not going to be that difficult to know where we're going. So if you're only selling $1,000 trips, if you do 400 of those at a 12% commission, you'll make $48,000. Let's go ahead. Let's bump it down a little bit because I want to get as close to 40 as possible. Oh my goodness, I keep adding numbers here. Alrighty, so if your average sale amount is $1,000, you're selling the cheapy 3-4 nights, mass market cruises, super small commission. So let's say it's just $1,000. You don't have a professional fee. You need to sell 334 trips. You need to sell 334 of those cruises to make $40,080. I mean, folks, we just went from selling one group of 21 people. I think another scenario was up to 33 sales or 32 sales. Another scenario was 28. Because your average spend was $10,000. If your average spend is not $10,000 and is closer to $1,000, you are working way harder, my friend. And I do not, because look at this. 334 divided by 12 means that you are pretty much selling a cruise a day. That is nuts. Because that's 334 divided by 12 comes out to approximately 28. I do not want that for you. Now, maybe it is a group where you have 3 groups of 100 people. So let's say you're really focused on doing corporate retreats. And so you have 3, you're going to need 4 for this example. But if you're doing corporate retreats for 4 organizations that have approximately 75 to 100 people to kind of get you to that 34, that will also get you to your 40,000 goal. You see, like there's so many possibilities that are here, because you can be selling the same amount but working a little bit less if you're working on the corporate side, because it's all one group, or maybe this is like one big large family group of 100 people. And it's the same trip, but you're doing it over and over and over again. Or let's say, this could be like a partial ship charter. So there's different ways, but I think there's a lot of frustration because so many of us start out with like those $1,000 trips. And to get to the income goals that you are wanting to have, literally having to service hundreds of trips. Where if you were selling a higher cost product, or if you were selling more of that one lower cost product because you're doing it at a group, or even if you charged a professional fee. So let's say, I'm gonna again be a little bit conservative. So we're gonna keep all the parameters the same. It's gonna be $1,000 per trip. It's going to be 12% in commission, but we're going to make the professional fee $100. And we're going to go with that same $334. Oh my goodness. If you charge, like you kind of like almost doubled your income by just charging a $100 professional fee for those 334 trips. Because that income is now $73,480. So if we want to keep it down, now we can do a little bit less because you're generating additional revenue through a professional fee. So let's do some boop, 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 boop. I'm here spitting out my numbers. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, you have to work so much less. I am digging this. And I think this is a huge justification for professional fees. So, because we were talking about 334 trips, right? And if you were just charging a professional fee of $100 for each of these $1,000 trips at 12% average commission, now you don't need to sell 334 trips. You get to sell only 182 trips, which is still a lot of trips. But it is way less than 334 trips. So 334 minus 182 is 150. Like you can sell half as many trips if you add in at least a $100 professional fee to cover your costs. And like there are so many costs. This could be like solely to cover some of your tech costs and all that, if that's how you want to say, you want to justify it with your clients. But 182 divided by 12 is now 16 clients that you need to have. So instead of working every single day of the month, you just need to make a sale every other day or just half of the month so you can go on vacation when you want to. That is dramatically huge. And that's just changing your fee from no fee to $100. Essentially, I would like you to start at $250. But if you're like working your way up there, just the numbers make so much more difference. Or make difference. Whatever it is, my grammar. So let me know, like, was this, I know you couldn't like see me as I'm working, and I was trying to give you as much information and data as possible, but was this kind of breakdown helpful for you in being like, oh my goodness, at least it opened my eyes that if I haven't been charging a fee, I need to charge a fee. And maybe it's also broken down that you don't have to work as hard anymore. If you've been like feeling burnt out, there is some sort of tweak that needs to be made. Whether you are selling a higher revenue item, whether you're selling more of an item, whether you're increasing what your commission is because you're now working with a higher commission split supplier, or that you've done a little bit of an increase in your professional fees. Because let me let's go with this scenario too. If you have been charging $100 for your fee and you're like, okay, I need to like up my fee so I feel comfortable going up to $150 next year. So with our current example, $1,000 per trip, 12% commission, $100 professional fee, you need to sell 182 groups, or you're going to be making $40,000, $40,040 per year. But if we bump that up to $150 for a professional fee, you've now made an extra $9,000. So that is dramatically different, because now instead of, let's do some more math. Instead of having to sell 182 trips, okay, I'm doing the math. You could sell 150 trips. So that saves you 32 trips from having to sell. So that saves you 2 months of extra work. If you just bumped up your professional fee to 150 from 100, if the average ocean mass market cruise that you sell is $1,000. So let me know where I can be of some assistance to you, because I know this was probably a lot. Let me know if we need to do like a little powwow together and talk about these numbers. I'm talking about planning your sales, because these are the things that I want you to start thinking of if you haven't already for the new year, is where can I make tweaks? If you are especially frustrated and you're not making the revenue that you want to be making, these are the things that you have to look at. It's not posting more on social media. It's not doing all the other things. That will come later. You first need to look at these numbers. How much do you need to make? Okay, once I know my income goal is X, how will I get there? Okay, I know this year I'm going to have a surgery, or I'm going to be gone because my daughter is having a baby this year, or there's a big family wedding that I'm going to go to, so I don't want to work as hard, or I was just diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and I'm tired all the time. What tweaks can you make in this sales planner that can accommodate the life that you see yourself living in 2024 based on all the different circumstances? Because like I like to mention, you are a whole human being. We're not just doing this for the money. You're doing this also for the peace of mind, for the freedom of what running a business means to you. And so you get to decide what you could get to sell, how much of it, and you make the rules in your business. And I just want to show you different ways of how it can be a little bit easier for you next year and bend your thinking a little bit. If you're like, oh my goodness, like I have been selling all these rinky-dink $1,000 trips and I need to bump my average spend to $5,000. So I need to start talking about premium cruise lines instead of mass market cruise lines. Or I need to start talking about river ships because I just want to sell one mega river ship, one mega group, and I am solid for the year. So hopefully this really does help you out. I'll list a couple of the resources that I've talked about in the show notes, but I really want you to be a strategic and intentional entrepreneur always, but especially for next year, and especially as you're prepping for wave season and you may be starting to feel a little bit of overwhelm. We want to combat that with actual data and what you can do with that data so that you know where and what things you need to be marketing for the new year. All right, my friends, I will see you here next week. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.